backstage at High Water, hanging out, and we've got Tom and Evan from the Dip. You guys are getting ready to go out and play. Let's talk about the Dip first and your sound. How do you guys describe it?
Horn forward. No, I would just start with that because I'm one of the horn players. I guess we usually say R&B.
Okay.
If anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. We hit a lot of genres, so it's cliche, but it's hard to pin it down on one thing because we play a lot of kind of different styles of songs,
right,
and have a lot of different influences that we've drawn on.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly why I asked that, because it's very hard for me to pin it down too. I do notice like a soul sound and an R&B sound, like you mentioned and stuff. Is that the music you guys listened to growing up, or was that what was played around the house?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Listen to all kinds of music, from classical to jazz, blues, roots, folk, disco.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And you guys met, the band formed when you were jazz. Let me get this right. Was it jazz students at the University of Washington?
We were all students at the University of Washington. Not all music students necessarily, but
okay,
yeah, a lot of us were in jazz studies, and it's kind of a modern-leaning jazz department. So we just kind of wanted some music that, like, people could party to for a little bit, something not quite as heady, that stuff like music that we enjoy and can still put all that experience and skill into, but yeah, just something that was different that we could all play together, and that's the origin story. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Jazz is an interesting form of music because I find it so intimidating that I can never really get into it. You know what I mean? Like, it's really hard to find that doorway in for me, I guess, as a fan of jazz. But so you guys started doing this, and now you've got a new record coming out. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we got a new record. It's called Love Direction, and it's maybe 12 songs. We're really excited about it. The last few records we recorded ourselves, and this one we had the opportunity to work with some other people in other people's studios. Josh Block is the lead engineer, and yeah, it was amazing. I think it's a good record.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's got a lot more breadth. Like, we just cover a lot more stylistic ground than we probably ever have before, and I think it's kind of the natural next step for us as a band. This is our fourth full-length studio album, so
right,
just trying to change some stuff up, do some different things, still very true to ourselves and all those different influences. But yeah, we're excited that it's almost finally out in the world.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. I feel like, so once there's a weird period, right, where between like a record's done and it's ready to come out, but it hasn't come out yet, and I always wonder, like, is that like, are you guys excited? Are you nervous? Is it like, what do you feel about that? You're sort of like, you know what it is, but the rest of the world hasn't heard it yet.
Yeah, there's a little apprehension because I do think it's different than the stuff we've put out in the past, just broadly. But we've also lived with it for so long. We've been writing the songs for a number of years and recording them over the last year, and so I think it's kind of like our mind. Once you submit it and get everything in order, put it out, print it, you kind of start thinking about the next thing a little bit. So I think that's kind of where we're at. But we are trying to figure out ways to play it live and to make the songs translate in a live setting. So we're kind of rehashing things. So.
When people see the Dip live, what kind of experience can they expect?
Well, it's always different. We put a lot of pride into doing different arrangements. Like, on this tour, we've been playing songs that we put out like 10 years ago, and we're changing up the instrumentation, changing up the feel, I don't know, like changing keys, changing time. It's going to be, we try to give people an opportunity to groove and just like move around and dance, and other times find moments that are a little bit more subdued or introspective, and we try to really highlight each individual band member throughout the set too, and like what strengths that they bring to the ensemble and what they like to do. So, but we always try to keep it changing. So if you go see the Dip one year in a town and then come back the next year, it's going to be a different show.
When you talk about changing up the songs, like changing keys and doing stuff like that, do you think it's because it makes those songs better now that you've played them more, or is it just a thing where it's like it keeps you guys more interested in it? Because I can imagine that going out and playing the same song night after night in the exact same way has to get a little boring after a while.
I mean, I think that people can tell when the band isn't earnestly into what's going on, if you're just going through the motions, I feel like people pick up on that and respond on the opposite side, respond positively to like when there's listening going on and like people are excited by the things that their bandmates are doing. So I think it's kind of both. It's like we get bored, and if we're bored, then the audience will be bored. And,
I think like if we find a way where we're reinvigorated with old material, like that's going to translate to the audience. Like if we're having fun doing it, then that's going to shine through and make everything better.